Hello everyone, Kireth here. I'm a GT Sport YouTuber. Just got off streaming GT Sport. Remember to like, subscribe, all of that stuff if you want to see more GT Sport. But today I'm here to talk about Gran Turismo 7 and the new trailer and some little bits and bobs I've spotted that you may not have seen and some other information that came out with this trailer. So we're going to go through, take a look at the footage and pause at key moments and find a bit more about Gran Turismo 7. Let's do it. So first things first, we know by now that Gran Turismo 7 is going to come out both on PS5 and PS4. And the footage we're seeing here obviously is on the PS5 system. Absolutely superb graphics for what we're seeing right now, but bear in mind, these are kind of Scapes-esque graphic, not necessarily what we're going to see in races, or obviously not what we're going to see in races here. And I think, and I've alluded to this in the previous video, I think what we're seeing here with the passage of time and what we're going to see later on indicates to me that there is going to be dynamic weather in Gran Turismo Sport. Dynamic weather, which on my list of things in terms of dynamic weather, bigger grids and team races, and dynamic weather is a part of that and making the kind of endurance side of Gran Turismo 7 an absolutely spectacular place to be. And I think this is what it's showing here. And you have to look a lot into these trailers, I find. Often things are hidden. I think what we're seeing here in terms of the detail in the grass and the tarmac, to me, I think that's going to flow through into the real game. You don't get this kind of detail in GT Sport. So I think we're going to see some seriously advanced textures on the PS5. Look how detailed the textures are here. Another bit we're going to pause. We're going to be looking at everything in this video. So if you want to see everything there is to know about Gran Turismo 7 at this point in time, you come to the right place. Because look at this fog. This is volumetric particles here. You can see it as well here with the kind of bloom of the sunlight. I think, again, this is going to be dynamic weather. How far is it going to extend? Is there going to be rolling fog? Is it going to be dynamic in that way? Or is it going to be just foggy? But there's definitely some fog here. Definitely some fog, so I'm excited about that. This is all just very arty, isn't it? Now, this is obviously the FIA theme song that I replace in my streams, but it is iconic. We've just heard it a lot if you're a fan of GT Sport. I think this tells us that FIA is going to be in GT7. So I think that's the reason for including this music. So I think we can expect to see FIA back. Snow, ice, and possibly escape, but to me, this looks like a track. So interesting conditions that we're going to see. Not something that GT Sport was capable of doing. This looks like a track to me. Not escape, so another potential track that we'll see in the game. Okay, now it's going to get real. And it is okay to just admire the graphics, by the way, and not just this obvious Toyota sponsorship. But the graphics are looking absolutely obscene. Great to see the classic cars as well. So this is the map system that's going to be back in Gran Turismo 7 that was missed out of GT Sport. Does anyone really miss the map? I don't particularly massively miss the map, but it looks like it's fully rendered as a location. It's not just a top-down thing like we used to see before. Again, more time of day movement, more dynamic time of day. I think this is all leaning towards us having dynamic time of day in the races, which I'm very, very excited about. So, livery editor. We'll go forward a little bit here. The font, the UI, very, very, very similar to what we've seen in GT Sport. Possibly a little bit disappointing. GT Sport came out in 2017. At the time of doing this video, it's 2021. GT7 is going to come out in 2022. And it looks like it's going to have the same UI. But if it works, don't necessarily need to break it. And I'm not a livery expert. All the amazing liveries you see on the channel are made by the amazing people in the community. But looks to be fairly similar functionality here. Nothing revolutionary that I'm seeing. Finally, some more gameplay footage. This looks to be in a kind of a replay cam, as we see the Lamborghini Huracan here. And yeah, it does look fantastic. I think it's at Trial Mountain. Yep. There we go. Much more reflections in the body panels. But I believe this is a replay cam, so replay in GT Sport is also a bit embellished in terms of the graphics. I'm more interested in what actually happens in the race. So scapes are back. I mean, you recognise some of these if you do scapes in GT Sport. This one is exactly the same as GT Sport 1. Again, we can see that the menu system is pretty much exactly the same. So this game looks to be heavily built on GT Sport. Camera editor. More scapes. And some updates to the fonts here. If you're fond of using the camera in GT Sport. This stuff is hot off the press, by the way. I'm literally doing this video minutes after the trailer has come out. So these really are first impressions. We've got a bit more black background blurring to get that nice bokeh, I think the photographers talk about. But otherwise, it's pretty similar to GT Sport. So if you're a budding photographer, nothing has massively changed. But on the other hand, the GT Sport photo system is absolutely incredible, and you can get some mind-bending photos out of it that look like they're from the real world. So now we're seeing more about the meat of GT7 in terms of single-player campaign mode, which a lot of people will be excited about. Great to see the Aston Martin DB5 up here. Right, we're at the Nürburgring, a track that I've raced a lot, both in GT Sport and in iRacing as well. And take a look at these reflections here. Absolutely great. This is the kind of stuff in the trailer that gets me very excited, because the atmosphere in the theatre of doing a race. I'm very lucky that I've actually been to the Nürburgring in real life and driven on the circuit. Not racing, just kind of loosely hot lapping. And it does feel a lot different to what you experience in GT Sport, which is very, very, very kind of artificial. This looks powerful. It looks emotional almost. So very, very excited about that. I think a lot of that is to do with the lighting. Right, we're going to have a look here at circuits. And we get a bit more of the UI here. Get a daily workout and all that kind of stuff. That's still here. Great. Superb. But let's have a look at what's happening in Japan. This is Japan. Now, the only new circuits here from GT Sport is the high-speed ring, which is a older GT Sport kind of artificial circuit, not a real-world circuit. And on the one hand, I'm a little bit disappointed by this. There's a lot to take in here, by the way. So it looks pretty obviously that all the tracks in GT Sport are likely to make their way into GT7. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It means there's going to be lots of tracks in GT7. But with a new game, you're kind of hoping for fresher content. So, there's no, for example, Twin Ring Motegi here, which would have been a great circuit to have. A little bit of a shame. There are some really good circuits in Japan that are present in iRacing, for example, that we're not going to have here, like Okayama. And it looks like only Mount Panorama in Australia as well. So really interesting to see the circuits here. I'm not too fussed about the map, although it's kind of cool. I don't really spend too much time looking at these sort of things in games. But it tells us a lot about the circuits. It looks like we're going to get everything in GT Sport and then a few more. I imagine they're holding things back, but nothing exciting to me revealed in this video apart from High Speed Ring, which I'm not too crazy about. Don't have many fond memories there. This is Tsukuba circuit, a circuit that is in Gran Turismo Sport, and it's raining. We can see bits of rain here, and it looks much more gritty than it does in Gran Turismo Sport. This is again where I kind of see the next gen increase. Because in your mind, Tsukuba and GT Sport may look like this, but if you go to GT Sport now and have a look at Tsukuba, I can guarantee there is not as much detail as we're seeing here. And also, we now have at least a rain, and I think dynamic weather as well. Laguna Seca is back. Great to see. Another track I've been lucky enough to go to in real life, and again, this kind of does really capture it. I think what Gran Turismo do really well is capture the essence of places. But what they've been unable to do in GT Sport is have the detail. Whereas here, I think we're going to have the detail as well. Colorado Springs there. Now, this is what gets me the most excited out of all of the trailer. It's the Le Mans footage. Because I've done a lot of racing in Le Mans in GT Sport and in iRacing. And this is the best I've ever seen Le Mans by a long way. This is miles better than Le Mans even at in iRacing. Forward it here so you get to see a bit more about it. Again, the lighting. So we're at night, and the way that the Rolex gantry is lighting up the circuit is just absolutely supreme. And I think it's going to really add to the emotion of racing. So we're going to talk more about the other feature of Gran Turismo 7 in terms of endurance racing and that sort of possibility. But if we do have endurance racing here, let's say a 24-hour race multiplayer that you can do with your mates and hot swap in and out, it's going to be very, very, very special. And dare I say, possibly the most theatric place to do a Le Mans 24-hour in terms of in-sim racing. So very excited about this. Again, more of the single-player stuff, upgrading things. Very expensive turbocharger here. Although we don't know the exchange rate of credits to dollars or pounds. But yeah, if you're excited about this kind of stuff, then great to see it back. Personally, I'm not too fussed. You'll be happy to know that you'll need to replace your oil, like in the old days. Here we go. Finally, some real-world racing footage. And we're going to spend a bit of time talking about this. So, obviously the UI, very similar to GT Sport. Not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, do you really need to improve on this? I mean, it's very clear what the information is. I like the way that you get the flag and the position and the name and the deltas, and it's very easy to read. So on the one hand, I would like a new UI generally, but for this part, which is functional, I think it functions very well. No hand is shown in terms of the max cars here because it's a artificially limited race to just 8 cars. And the graphics here are significantly better than you get in GT Sport. Again, if you have GT Sport to hand, after you've watched this video, and please do like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. Always very much appreciated. But when you go back to GT Sport, just go to Tsukuba and notice how kind of flat it feels in comparison. Because this really is, again, just emotional in terms of the race. I'm struggling to find a good word. If you've got a better word, let me know in the comments. But just feels more authentic and powerful and gripping. And I think that's going to add to the racing. And again, we can see kind of the volumetric effects here that you don't really get in Gran Turismo Sport at all. Now you can see the cars here traveling quite slowly. We are in wet conditions, and I hope the wet weather is going to be more realistic than we had in GT Sport. Although in GT Sport it was added for free, which is superb. But we'll look more at the wet weather a bit later on in this video. So again, this is kind of like GT Sport Plus. And it's not... I definitely wouldn't say it's a revolution. It's an evolution. But if you look at the kind of small details here, the blinding in the mirror, which again will kind of feel authentic and feel powerful and feel more instinctive. When you get some blinding in your mirror, you'll notice it in your peripheral vision. And you'll feel the car behind you. You can see here the mirror is much, much, much more detailed. And the lighting in the tunnel as well. You can see the details up here. It looks like people up here watching. Perilously perched on the edge of the bridge, ignoring all health and safety rules. But yeah, that's the kind of it's evolution, not revolution. But as someone who really enjoys Gran Turismo Sport and plays and streams it a lot, that's not a bad thing for me, as long as for me we get the cool things of dynamic weather, bigger grids, and team racing. So we're back in kind of like the replay cam now. You're going to get a lot more motion blur. You're going to get a lot more aperture and background blurring and all that kind of stuff that makes it more realistic. But I'm not too fussed about this because I don't spend a lot of time looking at replays. I spend much more of my time. I spend 99.9% of my time racing. So although this looks fantastic, I'm more interested in how the racing looks. This bit really reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 5 for some reason. In Tokyo now, for Tokyo Expressway, I mean, this is... Take a look at this still. I'm recording this in 1440p and it'll be uploaded to YouTube in 4K. This looks like a still from like the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. I mean, this is like ray tracing, resolution, excellent kind of lighting decisions in terms of color palette and stuff like that from the developer. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, I believe photorealism. Can't quite put my finger on it, but this seems real. And that's very, very, very exciting. And I know it's in replay view, but I remember watching it at this moment and thinking, wow, this is next gen. This is next gen. This is no longer 2017. This is going to be 2022. So I'm just taking in this moment here from this frame because the races at Tokyo in the night just might be absolutely obscene. Right, got excited about this bit. You can see I'm someone you may know from my channel. I do karting in real life, where there often are mixed and dynamic conditions in terms of rain falling, etc. You can see here the way the track is glistening and where the racing line is rubbered in. I get very excited about this because to me this indicates that there's going to be different levels of grip on different parts of the track. Maybe with the dynamic rain, some parts might stay wetter longer than others. You have to remember iRacing is going to be bringing in rain in a dynamic form. iRacing doesn't have rain yet, and I do see iRacing as a competitor to GT Sport, albeit a looser competitor. And it looks like GT Sport might get to the punch first if they can bring in this real sort of dynamic weather track condition. Really enjoyed looking at this scene here and just looking how different and realistic the track is. And this is what it's like in real life. When you go karting, you go over the bits of the track that have more grip. You see where the rubber is. You see where there's new tarmac that might have less grip. And you adjust your lines. That's not something you do at all in GT Sport. But it looks like it's going to happen in GT7. So let's finish off the trailer with Le Mans. This is very, very, very exciting. Very exciting. I mean, just look at how Le Mans is represented here with the ray tracing and the realistic lighting, and you know, got some classic cars from GT Sport here. So we've got the Alfa Romeo Full C, we've got the Beetle, Group 3 Beetle, we've got the Supra, we've got the Corvette here, and we've got the Porsche. It looks like it might be a WRC there, another Alfa Full C there. So hands close to the chest in terms of cars. I'm sure we will see newer cars than these. I'm sure there will be newer cars to be released. But here we're kind of seeing the same cars that are in GT Sport. So again, showing that whatever's in GT Sport is probably going to be in GT7. So there we go. Available March 4th, 2022. This was the biggest part of the trailer, to be honest. Actually having a release date, and it's not too far away. It's about 6 months away, if my maths is correct. I hope my maths is correct. Only 6 months to go. And that means that we're going to get a lot more information coming out about the game. I'm very, very excited about it. Now, this is not the end of the video, because, and do go check this out yourself, there's some extra information here, not in the trailer, just between you and me. We've got some extra information. This is on the Gran Turismo Sport product page, or Gran Turismo 7 product page. And I thought this was pretty striking. 25 years from the release of Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo as a game is a quarter of a century old. So if you remember the first Gran Turismo, you are, you've been around. But that's very, very special. And we've got some stuff here. I'm going to pull up some photos. Better photo here of the world map. Again, I'm not crazy about this. It kind of looks like Civ 4 or Total War Rome. Both great games, but not really what I'm interested in Gran Turismo Sport. But if you like this kind of stuff, and it's eye candy, it's appealing to look at. It's better than the menu system in GT Sport. So as long as you can navigate it quickly, I'd have a problem with it. Day-night cycle. More tracks. This page was disappointing, but take it with a grain of salt, everyone. Take it with a grain of salt. Because surely there are going to be more tracks to be released. Or surely more tracks are going to be included in GT7 than we see here. Every track you see here is in GT Sport. I don't believe any tracks have been dropped, but if any tracks have been dropped, let me know in the comments. But I think everyone is accounted for here. But surely there are going to be more tracks added. I just don't think we've seen them yet, and I think this will be probably part of the roadmap as we get closer to launch to deliver the hype. But again, everything in GT Sport is going to be in GT7, so kind of GT Sport Plus. But how much is going to be added, we don't know yet. We have to wait. And licensed stuff is back. Very, very cool. I didn't really do any of this in GT Sport, but I used to do it in the old Gran Turismo games. So good to see that back. Confirmation of the tracks included. Let's scroll down a bit more. Talking about car collection. GT Cafe. See some more screenshots here that you may not have seen if they're not in the trailer. And again, I'm not massively crazy about the stuff. It feels a bit Test Drive Unlimited that I absolutely loved. But I didn't love the bits in Test Drive Unlimited where you needed to like be inside. They didn't control very well. Luca here is delighted to help us with this menu of cars. So this is cool. And I'm going to sort of say blasé about it, or blithe, or whatever the word is. You know, if I was 11 years old again, this would make me fall in love with cars again. So I'm a little bit older now, a little bit, I want to get to the meat of the racing, but this kind of stuff, again, is very emotive. So I feel like GT7 is going to be an emotive game. That's my hunch. In the same way that the earlier GT games were for me and the earlier Forza games, and even going back to Sega GT. Prices here. Again, shows you how good the scapes are. I mean, I'm sure I've seen that picture in Auto Trader. It's absolutely phenomenal. No new cars I can notice here. Same arrow icon, stuff like that, all the same. And presume these are used cars because of the racing and stuff like that, so good to have a used car market. All of that good stuff. Let's keep on scrolling. Car tuning is back. So presumably this won't carry over to multiplayer. This is quite a big point, actually. I've tried to play a lot of Forza. I have Forza 7. I give it a go every so often. And the multiplayer racing is not as close unless you're in specific hoppers or leagues, because of the way that you can upgrade cars. So you can go into a race where everything is theoretically bopped, but some cars have huge engines and no brakes. Other cars have great handling but no power down the straight, and it just ends up in big accidents. So I presume that the sport mode bop is going to be different. I really hope so. If this online bop changes to single player tuning, I don't think that will be a good thing for Gran Turismo in the way that I enjoy it, personally. More stuff in terms of car maintenance. Remember to change your oil. We need to get some change oil memes going. And we can make the cars wide. Stuff like that. All great stuff. Very Need for Speed. Not personally that excited about it. Livery editor's back. Looks like you can see your car in your garage, which is cool. It just adds to the theatre of it all. Like I said, I'm not great with making liveries. The liveries that you see me racing on YouTube are all made by amazing members of the community. And to see more, do feel free to join the Discord. There is a link in the description below. Over 550 people in the Discord. Talking GT Sport and other stuff. But it looks fairly similar to me. But the Gran Turismo Sport livery system seems to be incredible. Seems to be way easier to use than, say, iRacing. and there are some incredible liveries produced out of it. So evolution, not revolution, seems to be the way to go here. Absolutely fine. Now, this bit's a bit funny. Legendary circuits, historic circuits. Well, to me, an historic circuit would be like Silverstone. You know, so Trial Mountain, and again, I personally, I don't feel so much a connection, but I know a lot of people do. So it's good that they're back, but I feel like surely we're going to see some more real-world tracks. That's what I'm really, really excited about. Here we go. So if you've been watching all the way through, thank you so much. Take a look at this bit here. I won't read it out because that's just painful. You can all read. Unless you can't, in which case, I don't know. But yeah, we're talking about spatial time of day, talking about the particles that we've mentioned before. So volumetric particles, aka fog, smoke, that kind of stuff. And I believe this is going to be dynamic weather in game, variable time. Variable time. So we have, as in GT Sport, sunny, cloudy, rain. This is variable time. You see the clouds moving as well. I'm very, very, very excited by this. Very excited. And we can see this is at the Nürburgring GP circuit. And, you know, something like this. The thing is, if we're real, the lighting in GT Sport is incredible. It's baked in lighting. You do get some really awesome times a day, even at Le Mans. But you don't get that variability, so you're kind of stuck in time. We noticed it when Super GT did his 24 hours of the Nürburgring. It was the same time of day for 24 hours. When I do a 24-hour race in iRacing, the time of day makes a huge difference. So again, the emotion, I'm talking about emotion a lot, the emotion of racing. So I think we'll see that. Scapes are back, yay. Love Escape. Escape is how I do my thumbnails. Put this muscle car on the beach as Mustang Boss. Looks very, very, very similar. But Escapes are great. Escapes were ahead of their time. Got the CLK here. Escapes were ahead of the time in 2017, so, you know, fine. So that's going to be the information that I've got. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you watched it all the way through, thank you so much. And I hope you've gained something out of it. Do feel free to drop a like, subscribe so you don't miss future GT7 updates on this channel. We are big on Gran Turismo in many different ways. But it's been great having you. And I'm going to wrap things up here. And I'll see you all next time.